So today I got a strike from YouTube and for hate speech, and it was about the video I did a few weeks ago, whitewashing Nazis in Ukraine. And I know that even mentioning that word on YouTube gets you flagged. So you can't discuss the problem of Nazism. You can't discuss the problem of Nazism in Ukraine. They don't like you discussing and critiquing fascism. So basically, you are not allowed to talk about the problems of a rising fascism around the world, really, or the literal Nazis that are in Ukraine in the Azov battalion. The following of Stepan Bandera, the literal Nazi from World War II, and how they have dedicated a street in Ukraine. I'm not saying that Ukraine and the 40 million people who live there are all Nazis. I'm not saying that, but there is a Nazi problem in Ukraine. Now, I've said that word about 5 or 6 times now, so this video will be flagged because you're not allowed to talk about it. What a great way to end up being in a situation where Nazism is everywhere, and or fascism is everywhere, because nobody can actually talk about it and critique it. I mean, what a shit show this fucking platform is. Seriously, I mean, you know what this is really about is in the video that where I talked about it, but I also showed Electronic Intifada's piece called "Whitewashing Nazis in Ukraine." They actually call that video that. Their video is still up. I even put hyphens in between the word Nazi, hoping that it might not be so, sort of flagged by the title. But the Electronic Intifada's video is still up. And I can only guess that because they're, 26,000. I mean, I didn't say anything different to what they said about it. I took out excerpts from the video, so I didn't say anything different to what they were saying. Probably even a bit, sort of a little bit less pointed even than what they were saying in the excerpts I showed. And yet, Electronic Intifada's video is still up. So I can only guess it's because they have, 26,000 people, subscribers, and YouTube values capitalism and subscribers over any content, that they have different rules for different channels. If you have a lot of subscribers, like Jimmy Dore, say, for example, has, 1 million or so, and he talks about something that normally they might have a problem with, the worst he gets is maybe he gets demonetized on one of his videos, but they value the subscription numbers and the fact that they might make money off advertising much more than if they have a problem with the content, meaning they have a problem with content that is critiquing in some way, directly or indirectly, U.S. imperialism, and that's what was happening in that video about the whitewashing Nazis in Ukraine. But they will allow certain channels to get away with it because they have so many subscribers and they value that advertising, or they value that channel. They don't want to strike that channel away and delete it or ban it because they're going to make money off it. So, that's one sort of hypocrisy of YouTube and other social media platforms like it. And so because I'm such a little channel, they can, my videos are all about US imperialism pretty much, with the interspersed with vegan videos. They just rather get rid of me because they're not going to lose out. I haven't monetized anything I did a few in the beginning, and they were, because I don't like inflicting ads on people, and also you get, it's just negligible, 1 cent here, 1 cent there. I don't care about monetization really. They're not, it's no great loss to them if I end up getting 3 strikes and my channel is deleted and banned. It's also a way of, slapping you on the wrist and sort of threatening you with, if you continue to talk about Ukraine, because, they don't want anybody countering the widespread corporate media US imperialist narrative. They don't want anything like that happening. So they they may as well get rid of smaller channels that might be talking about it in a real way. And they get their instructions, these platforms like YouTube get their instructions from the US National Security State. They're just a propaganda arm of the US National Security State. And so, you know, one small channel gone, they're not going to lose any money from that. So, you know, that's sort of, it's a way of modifying people's behavior so they don't talk about that particular issue. They don't want you to talk about Ukraine. They don't want you to talk about the Nazis. They don't want you to talk about the US funding Nazis. They don't want you to talk about the US backing this proxy war in Ukraine so they can overthrow and do regime change in Russia. They don't want you talking about how many billions and billions of dollars now they're feeding into of military equipment they're feeding into Ukraine. They don't want you to talk about any of that. And also, it could be the case that somebody who's a hater of my channel or somebody who doesn't like me has decided to flag it. I mean, there's all sorts of shenanigans goes on now in these days. You just need a bunch of people flagging something and then you've got a problem. So, you know, I can only put it down to the fact that capitalism in relation to electronic intifada, and I don't even think they actually monetize, but they have a higher regard for channels that are bigger, like that, you know, 26,000 isn't a bad number of subscribers, and maybe they think they might make money down the track. I don't know. But anyway, you know, I'm not really sure what to do because, you know, I don't know, like, my channel is about anti-imperialism. So, and there's a number of wars, but this one is the current one, and the one where it's very dangerous the longer it goes on. You know, what are you supposed to do? If you're on a channel that is doesn't like you critiquing US imperialism, and your channel is all about that, what is one to do? So, it's so tiresome. I looked at that and I thought, yeah, that's right. It's just so tiresome, all of this, you know? And I could move over to Odyssey. I do have a channel over there, but I mean, I don't have time to be uploading stuff to all these different channels, jumping from one lily pad to the next, trying to escape the gaping jaws of this censorship. I don't have the time for that. I mean, I might have to start just uploading to Odyssey. I'll leave a link in the information description, but I mean, I don't even know if anybody is even going to I don't know, you know, it's like, you know, you just end up being corralled into a corner and, you know, and and then, of course, probably at some stage, Odyssey will be taken over by some big company and the same thing will happen. This is just sort of like rinse and repeat. Anyway, so that's what happened to that video. I'm not sure if I saved it. I might have saved it. But I just find it odd that it's allowed on Electronic Intifada, but it's not allowed on my site. And I don't engage in anti-Semitism. I don't engage in hate speech. I don't engage in any of that stuff that they go on about with these community fucking guidelines that are just bullshit. I mean, you know, it does your head in, really. This is just so fucking ridiculous. And like, you know, that means they're basically saying, don't do another video about Ukraine. That's what they're saying. Don't do another one. And don't talk about Nazis. Because the US like Nazis. They do, I'm sorry, but they refused to denounce Nazism at the UN in 2014. And I think it's probably been post that too. And so did Ukraine. They refused to denounce Nazism at that time too. What a surprise. And the US is literally funding Nazis. So anyway, this video, I wonder if this will even get shown because it's got Nazis, the word Nazi in it. Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Fuck you all. Fuck all the YouTube censors and the algorithms. So, you know, we're not allowed to discuss these sort of things. And then one day, those actual fascists will be looking for people in YouTube that were doing all this censorship, who were creating these algorithms. Because do they really think that a fascist government, an openly fascist government, like the US, is going to tolerate anything but a one-state media that tells everybody the exact same thing, which is pretty much what we have now with the corporate media. But they won't need all these different, like CNN and all these rubbishy propaganda channels. They only need one, maybe two, corporate media. They won't need all these. So I hope these people who have created these fucking algorithms enjoy when fascism comes for them. You know, that whole saying, first they came for this, then they came for that, and then they came for me. Well, that's what they're going to get one day.